but I think we should put a different spin on that, though. As much as that is the case, what I think, in order to solve it, the solving has to come from the ground up, where the people demand better from their leaders. And I think that's the current conversation that's even taking place right now here in Tobago, where the people have to demand better. It's not, I don't expect Keith Rowley to set an example. So we should not have that expectation of him. You understand? What the expectation that we need to have is of our people to expect better and to choose better.
How can they choose better?
By demonstrating what are the how politicians are dividing us, how they're clearly using, because people don't know. People will think, oh, well, just because we jump up together and I eat curry, I'm diverse. No, that's not diversity. That's not really embracing other people. That's why I have to say we have to stop talking about, well, how we drink, how we party is not how we vote. No, those are foolish statements. What we really need to do is, how are we engaging each other? How culturally similar we are. Because if you notice, the whole racial thing in Trinidad, and I would say Trinidad is underscored by poverty and class. It's mixed up into that fact, because the fact is the Afro people in Trinidad do not control any substantial portion of wealth, because they live in the cities. Those doesn't have a lot of cities either have premium land space, as opposed to living in rural areas where you have more, what do you call it, on land.
Whose fault is that?
So, well, that's just the geography of the country. That is just the geography of the country. So what is needed is land reform.
Do you know that Indians didn't own Port of Spain, you know? Did you ever know that?
Well, I mean, I don't know that specifically, but if you ask me about the people who live in Port of Spain today, these are quote-unquote people who are, I know what Port of Spain and Laventil and Beetham and those areas look like, and those are the areas, when we talk about Black Trinidad, those are the areas that we're talking about. When we're talking about Indo-Trinidad, we're talking about areas in central and below the Caribbean. Yes, we know that people are mixed in and sprinkled all about, but the dynamics that create the foundation of these dynamics is, I won't say not a lot of race, a lot of it is class and who have access to what and where we live geographically. Look at Tobago. I mean, I won't say we have xenophobia in Tobago. We depend on the Indian people in Tobago coming over to our guest houses and hotels. They're the ones that's keeping the Tobago economy afloat. But our politicians, what they would do, they would have the audacity to plaster Watson, Duke, and Kamala on a piece of paper together to stir those flames of xenophobia and racism. That's what they would do.
All because we still an understanding that we have Indians that were born who work on plantations. Listen, Keino. Listen, work on plantations, and up to this day, we have never seen an Indian in the Tobago House of Assembly. I am talking that politicians are the one that dividing Keino. Keino Negroes. My brother have 10 children with an Indian girl. 10. And this first child almost old like me. So we have the divide and conquer in our politicians, in their mind. Indians were there. I went to school with a lot of Indians. Your mama. Yes.
What do we need to do then? What do we need to do then?
This is where I'm coming with Keino.
So then my proposal is that
we have to start to deal with the problem and stop believing that politicians at the top, they are not the ones creating the problem.
Well, we agree on that term. We definitely agree on that. But what I'm trying to say, but here's what. Yes, I agree with you. But in order for the blame to be directed at him, it is the responsibility of the people to understand. I can't just say blame Rowley, blame Rowley. Rowley's job is to stay in power as long as he wants, and he doesn't care if racism is dividing the people. It's the people have to understand that it's politicians that's stoking these flames of racism. And until we learn better, until we decide to do better, that change is not going to be made at the top of leadership. So I cannot hear and say it's Rowley, Rowley, Rowley. Yes, I know it is him, but he's not listening here right now. It's the people that's listening. It's the people that need to be. Well, he could.
He's listening right now.
Well, he could listen. Fine. Good night, Dr. Rowley. But here's what: until the people understand, this is what they're doing, they're not gonna what you call it.
How can Rowley say just before the election, saying they cut that 10-second delay, and how can Keith Rowley say for the last election that camera put a hit on him? Where was his evidence to let black people believe that Kamala is a murderer?
Well, you see, I think so. I think that is what you call it, Mama Coco. I think that is Rowley being distracting. That is Rowley saying blame Kamala. And
all we do as black people here in Trinidad and Tobago make an excuse for Keith Rowley.
No. I don't think it's making excuses for Keith Rowley. But here's what, Mama Coco. Here's what we need to understand.
Tell me, below.
Keith Rowley is the Prime Minister. He is the Prime Minister. His objective is to stay in power. That is his objective. He does. Let me finish. He does well, and it's not him to know. He's not gonna find. Keith Rowley is not gonna turn a good Catholic tomorrow and find a heart and stop being a racist.
Find a good heart. We need him to stop lying to the people.
So we don't know about the condition of his heart right now.
I know,
but he's not gonna fix that.
I know his heart.
Are you his cardiologist, Mama Coco? Are you his cardiologist, Mama Coco?
Yes, I am right now.
So then, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of a practical situation, why can't we as a group here this evening call for a national task force on the reformation and study of education in Trinidad and Tobago? That's a start. Something. And have the task force come back with some answers within 3 months. What do we need to do to readapt the education system in Trinidad so that we can attack some of these instances that we're talking about? Other than that, we're going to be talking all the time and we won't get anywhere.
That is why I have
a task force. Task force
of
7 people.
Brother Lashley, Dr. Lashley, here's what. Let me be straightforward and be a realist with you. No task force is not working because the people in leadership right now, that's not their incentive. Their incentive is not to solve these problems. And I agree with Mama Coco, but you have to understand the incentive of these people. Their incentives is power and staying in power. That's their incentive and that's their only objective. And they would do anything to meet these objectives. We're not having any task force. We need one, but until you have the right people in governance, task force is not going to help.
Where you want us to start from the bottom up, that now work. That is what happened with you and all of them try. All these years.
If a cross section of the people come together, why can't we put on the minister's desk of education, whom I know?
That's not going to work because that is not the political culture. You guys have to understand the political culture. The goal of the political culture is to stay in power. If anything that's going against the political culture that will attempt to change that, it's not going to work. That is why it has to happen from the ground up, and you have to educate the people. You have to educate the people. Educate the people.
Dr. Lashley says
educate the
from the
people,
school, teachers,
educate
school.
the people, and change the curriculum. You're not going to get it working except the ministry makes changes.
You don't need. You don't need. Let me tell you something. You don't need policy to change the curriculum. You need to empower the people with knowledge. And once the people who are in who the once the people who appreciate and understand that knowledge and what's able to get us out of the status quo are in place, then you get movements on that. Until then, you get the status quo. No task force is gonna work. No committee is gonna work because all those things have been tried already. People your age and generation have been trying those things already.
Wasn't tried like that, Keino. Keino, you're young.
Here's
Talk to your man.
Because the knowledge that we know now hasn't been it hasn't been attempted and explored in that way. The way we can really break down and analyze, this is what neocolonialism is. This is how white supremacy is affecting us. These are conversations that are happening in the United States, and we're now trying to understand them in Trinidad and Tobago and really see how it's affecting us because we don't even have white people in our midst. Okay? But the status quo is built on that white structure, and it's not going to change until the people understand.
We are 1 hour and 16 minutes. We're going to hear from Dr. Lashley now, and then we're going to hear from Brother Ramjohn. And I just wanted to share my experience with you. In the nose and go walk.
Here's my experience. I came to Trinidad as a leader in 1990 when the college had 300 students. It has 3,500 a day. We brought the nursing program. All those things were changes that were needed. We went to the ministry and demanded that changes be made, and changes were made. You got to organize your people to get it done. We just didn't have a task force that wrote documents. We went in there, we made changes. So, in my experience, we worked at the grassroots, and you can do that. You will get change. So I'm tying together what you said with a bit of policy too. And it changed. We made changes. You got nursing, you got stuff happening that didn't happen before. So that's just my experience at that time. Maybe it's different now. But
this is a new time. This is a new time, and what's been happening, especially shaped by what's been taking place in Tobago. Forget the racism. Just the victimization that Black Tobagonians are doing against Black Tobagonians. The reason why they don't want to change it is because the whole status quo is going to change. So it's not a committee, it's not a task force. Those things were Sally and Fake were piloting those motions in the THA. No, because y'all are not understanding this thing.
Can you calm down 1 minute? Why are you beating down what Dr. Lashley said? We come on this panel.
No.
I'm
just trying to bring him up to date with the current reality, because the current reality in Tobago is victimization and discrimination in a completely Black society. Okay, so there's no racism there. There's no black on black racism there. So let's
Keino, calm down.
There's no black on black racism there. So policy changes. You need to elect the right people. Put the right people in place. And then, and only then, you will get policies of non-discrimination. You will get policies that are directly tackling and challenging racism. Those are when you will get those policies. It's not taking it to the minister. Nyan Dali doesn't give a crap about what nobody is going to take to her right now to further any education and try to make a better system. She's not going to care about that, because she has to listen to Dr. Rowley, and Dr. Rowley has no intention of doing that.
You came to mash up this show. I'm telling you to calm down. Let Brother Ramjohn speak.
I'm sorry, Mama Coco.
You better be sorry, but this is not you, and I don't like this behavior.
Okay, we're good.
Everybody come here to help so that we can get to talk about racism, and so that we can get over it. I know you are powerful and what you want to say, but I am the moderator, and I'm telling you, let Brother Ramjohn speak. Thank you.
Passions run high when the topic is one such as this. There is no doubt about that.
I know that's why we have it.
I think this illustrates the fact that perhaps we need to have a mature discussion about the issue and not an emotional one. Our visceral responses to issues of racism are the reasons why we can never overcome racism in a true and meaningful way. Okay, it's really you know, it's a deep reaction to something like this.
It's a painful one also.
Huh?
It's a painful reaction.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just to lighten the mood a bit, Dr. Lashley, I want us to be, all of us here right now, to be co-authors on the publication that you're going to make out of this, right?
Yes, all of we, Keino, everybody writing a book.
But listen, right? The fact is, politicians could not use race if race did not exist within each and every one of us.
Yes.
Okay? You could not be beaten by a weapon if you did not have a vulnerability to the weapon. And that means that you have, as an individual, we all have as individuals to look within ourselves and see how we allow ourselves to be manipulated and why. Okay, this is not just about race, you know. This is about a social construct that we have come to believe in, right? And if you will bear with me a bit, I want to read something for you. There goes. Close your eyes just for a while and try to see infinity. Just bear with me. Try just once and tell me what you see. Spin around inside your mind. See the boundaries all around, and yet you know that infinite should be without bound. How can this be? Is it your mind? Or is infinite defined a thing unbound, forever bound inside your finite mind? Perhaps it's just a human need to define things, you think? But in so doing, we limit them. In fact, we make them shrink. Now think about yourself, my friend, your own self-definitions. In how many ways do they bind you to the human condition? If one single little human word placed a line around infinity, then how many other little words deny you your right to be free? Man or woman, white or black, Catholic or Jew, Republican or Democrat, white collar or blue. What holds you back? Perhaps it might be your own self-perceptions that limit you and keep you from achieving through perfection. Okay? And I say that because it is how we define ourselves that allow others to use us in particular ways. Okay? Are we Trinidadian? Or do we have to define that as Afro-Trinidadian versus Indo-Trinidadian? Or Syrian or Lebanese or whatever? How do we define ourselves? And how does that then translate into how we deal with other people? We as a species, okay, human beings have this need to associate with like, meaning that we naturally congregate amongst those that we feel share either the way we look, the way we think, the way we sound. It doesn't matter, but we have a natural tendency to do that. Okay? But what I want to really get across here tonight, you can blame the politicians all you want, but they are using the weapons that we have formed against ourselves, against us. Okay, as a people, we can make that change happen. We can. Okay, but here's the thing. How many people in Trinidad and Tobago understand how national policies are created or how legislation is created? How many people know that?
Brother Ramjohn, give us your closing statements because I have something to say also.
Right, so I think it's going to take not just one approach.
No, we can't have one. We have to have more.
Right?
And I don't want anyone to feel that it was hot tonight, so I ain't coming back. Or you're coming right back here. Because we have to come up with an answer. You see what people fail to realize? That racism in Trinidad didn't start today. And I don't like to be too hypocritical. I love to be critical. You see, when Eric Williams took away Trinidad and Tobago from the British, he didn't fight it alone. He fight it with Dr. Kapil Deo. They were side by side. Kapil Deo first spoke on Independence Day. When Kamala went to South Africa, she took Rowley with her. But there is no way under the sun Keith Rowley trying to bring the two people together. He pulled that race card when the election should have been won and two parties should have been ruling Trinidad and Tobago. I don't want to hear too much of semantics. I am coming to the point. You guys don't have to agree with me. Neither do I have to agree. But we have to come to an agreement in order for us to solve racism. We might think it's a simple fight. But if you listen to the quality of campaigning that went on for the last election, where Indian people use them out, they get themselves in trouble. Negroes using them out, they getting themselves in trouble. And up to this day, I haven't heard Rowley tell the Negro people, don't do that. I didn't hear Sister Kamala come out and tell the Indian, maybe she did.
Mama Coco, can I say something?
Not yet. I am talking still, Keino. You hold up. I know you're bad. I know you have something to say. But what I'm talking here, it is systematic. It didn't start today. And the people below just doing what they are encouraged to do. But normal Indians and normal Trinidadians, they're always finding a way to come together. It's politicians. Speak now, Keino.
Here's the thing. I'm sorry if I didn't let other people speak and I got passionate and everything like that. But here's what I'm saying. You cannot have the expectations. You cannot have so much confidence and put all your expectations in a bad manner. A bad manner.
We have to get him.
Keith Rowley is a bad man. So I don't have time with Keith Rowley. I don't care about Keith Rowley. So here's what. You need to take the spotlight off of Keith Rowley.
Why not?
That's my thing. That's my thing.
All we're doing is superficial talk. Let us go in depth. It is systematic, it is failing, it is evil, and soon.
Let me tell you, you need to take the spotlight off of Keith Rowley. Take the spotlight off of him.
Don't make Keith Rowley think that the spotlight on me. No. What he did for
but here's what. I am not gonna put confidence.
That's what I'm saying.
I am not going to have any confidence in expecting Dr. Rowley to solve the problem of racism in Trinidad and Tobago.
Why not?
Because that's like me having the expectation of the devil to forgive sins. It logically doesn't make any sense. Because if people are using this,
you know the devil ain't gonna forgive sin.
Right. So then Keith Rowley has no intention. It's politically beneficial to him.
You're not understanding it. So as if
It
it's
is politically beneficial to him.
as if it's Keino alone. I am talking about the last election, what he did.
Well, but so in general, it doesn't matter.
No.
It's politically beneficial to him
In
to
general,
use that strategy.
okay,
To
Keino,
use that strategy.
Hold up, Keino. In general, it will take Brother Ramjohn. It will take you. It will take Dr. Lashley. It will take Robert Wendell. It will take all the guests, all the viewers to understand the power of who rules. I am speaking here today, and the reason why this topic has to come up, I am impressed to bring this topic because people taking racism in Trinidad and Tobago as a damn joke. It's not a joke. We have black people want black people to believe that the Indians robbed them, that the Indians go on Tobago and buy out the land. When all the London quickly, Keino, I'm talking a little bit.
But here's what, but no, Mama Coco, here's what I'm trying to say. We know that is not true. We know that is not true. We cannot. Let me finish. Here's what, because what you're doing, no, because what those things are, what they are, if in all reality, they're alternative facts. They're not real. It is a lie. So we have to let people know that it is a lie. So we can't keep repeating it over. We need to deconstruct it so that
even Farley choose a new House of Assembly and bring one Indian in it. How can we prove to the people in Tobago who already
I don't think those two things are connected, Mama Coco.
Keino,
I honestly don't think. No, but I think you're mixing up too many things. And if we want to effectively deal and tackle with racism and how politicians are doing it, this shouldn't have to compare with whether PDP chose Indian people to go on their thing. I think you're mixing up things. I think the expectation is, if we want, I am not expecting leadership. I'm not expecting, I don't have the expectation of Keith Rowley to effectively solve racism. I'm not gonna do that.
Save this for Sunday if you're coming on. You already said yes. So come on Sunday. Save this politics. But I don't know what you want to tell me now, And all you make big bacchanal.
You want to tell me have expectations in a bad man. And Keith Rowley is a bad man. And a bad man whose goal is to stay in power does not have any incentive to solve racism.
Let Dr. Lashley speak.
I understand how we feel about people and wherever they are, but my simple view is this. There's some things you don't change overnight. What I do in leadership, where I've been trained, I try to get a bipartisan approach as far as possible to bring people together. This country, Trinidad and Tobago, we have to come together on some issues, even if we disagree vehemently. We still have to come together. And that's my point, why I shared. We have to come together. As bad or as good as some people are, whatever it is, we still have to come together. If we can't come together, then we're going to have war apart.
We have to come together. We have to come together.
All the people would agree.
Why all the language against Indian Tobago people still have it against them? You're not listening to what I'm trying to say. That Calcutta boat and Coolie Kamla, them things have to stop.
Mama Coco, we know all of this. All of this is correct.
Keino, you are young.
Mama Coco, I was there for Calcutta ship. I wrote the article in Tobago News about Calcutta ship. So, but here's what I'm trying to tell you. Stop having expectations, high expectations in people who does not have an incentive to solve that problem.
Stop running and let young people run. with young ideas and young views, I am going to be on Keith Rowley case for that last election. I know that
You
last
know,
election should not have been won by one political party. The same
but
way
Mama
about
Coco, it's
Tobago, what I
done.
was
It's
saying.
been done.
God is
It's
showing you guys
been
now
done.
what I was saying about Tobago. Show it now. Tobago showing it now.
It's been done, but we're not moving towards a solution.
We are
And I
going to
think you
move. All you
but here's
need,
but
all you need
moving.
now tonight, Keino, is to just show it never walk. That never, no, it will work.
No, but here's what. It does not work with Keith Rowley leading that role because I don't
That is
expect him
why I'm
to do
saying that
that.
he has to go. And
So okay then, I agree with
until
you. I agree with you. But do
ladies
not
and
give
gentlemen,
him the
tonight
responsibility
we are
to
here to
solve
speak on this.
racism because that is he's not
Keino,
capable of doing that.
thank you, Keino. Ladies and gentlemen, we came here to speak about a very hot and fiery topic. A topic that decides poverty and wealth. A topic that decides who govern our country, who steals, and who should be there to keep our country and our finances right. I am not saying that the Indians will do better, and I ain't saying that the Negroes will do better. But we are fighting a war in Trinidad that everybody is taking for granted. From a spiritual point of view, from where I sit, Keith Rowley made a boo for the last election gone. He made a terrible mistake. I don't know if Sister Kamala saying that he is black should make people turn away from doing what's right. We are living in a country where everybody believes doing it easy is right. Don't do things because it's easy. Don't distract your population because it's easily done. Let me pull the coolie thing. If the Indians should win, they will thief all the money and go. This got closed down, this got shut down. I am speaking from the point of view of practicality. I'm not here wishing Keith Rowley should change things. I wishing that Keith Rowley should have never done what he did for the last election. However, God doesn't rest. And he bring the Tobago House of Assembly to show what I was talking about. No one party rule can take us away from derelict behavior of governance. Dr. Lashley,
Yes,
if
ma'am.
I embarrass you tonight, I am sorry.
No, you didn't embarrass me. My big thing is how to bring people together,
That
and
is
I
it.
work for that. That's my thrust.
I give everybody what we should be discussing here tonight. There are other people who on my life that I asked to come on and they refused. Don't make them believe that they were right to refuse. We need all hands on deck. We need all thinking minds on deck, including yours, Keino. Don't be angry. This is what racism does create. But we coming to the point. You are at the head. Your words matter. When you speak with power. You can interfere. You can mess up. And I'm not having a live just to promote myself. We are in serious trouble in Trinidad. When I watch how young people whine, carry on, and the amount of coolie, nigger, I used to hear that when I was young. I used to hear that when I was young. It's not fair now for the younger generation that's coming up to live, to hear how evil we are to each other. That's not right. Racism is not a joke. It is grievous. Coming together just by talking. I am saying that the local young people and people of Trinidad and Tobago, we do not hate upon Indians like that until election time. Brother Ramjohn, you have a closing statement?
I guess I want to keep it short and sweet because I've got a hard stop in a few minutes. So, I really appreciate the opportunity to be on this panel. I would like to participate in similar discussions in the future. And I really do hope that we can come to a place where we allow the voices to be heard that need to be heard. Everyone is going to have an opinion about this. Everyone.
Yes,
Everyone has their own experience. Everyone has their own perceptions. Okay, and perspective is a heck of a thing. There's a Latin phrase, quid secundum modus recipiter, recipiente recipiter. And it means that whatever is perceived according to the mind of the person who is perceiving. So we have to be mindful of other people and their positions on this. We have to be mindful of how they see us and what we might think. We might think we're the least racist person in the world, where to somebody else we might be displaying prejudices like crazy.
That's right.
There has to be a certain amount of self-examination first before we try to tackle this at a national level. Trinidadians and Tobagonians, we are fantastic.
My show, Cindy.
Right? We are a fantastic people. We have tremendous value to add to our society and to the world. Okay, look at where we are. Right, look at where Dr. Lashley is. Look at where I am. Look at where Keino is. Right, out of a small country like this, despite all of these issues, we still manage to stand strong and take center stage almost anywhere we go. Okay. And we need to revel in that. We need to honor that in ourselves and our fellow Trinidadians and Tobagonians. And we need to stop letting the politicians divide us that way. So whatever the mechanism is that we have to come up with, we need to do it, and we need to do it quickly. And I think we have an opportunity to do so if we were to really get together and think and talk and figure the way forward. So that's my closing statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ramjohn. As I said before, that we see the insurrection that happened here in America, and people listen to their leaders. Okay? And it's the same thing with the racism in Trinidad. Those at the top, they have to lead. Brother Keino, give us your closing statement.
You said people listen to their leaders. I think that people should have better leaders to listen to. And I am not going to put the responsibility, because I know he's incapable of doing it. And that's the reason why it seems as though me and you were going at loggerheads. You cannot give somebody a job who is incapable of doing it, especially if the reason to keeping him there, that is what he uses. That brand of political racism is what he uses to stay in power. So he is not going to have an incentive to change that. It's not going to work. It's not a matter of his heart. It is something that he strategically uses. It is something that they strategically use to divide and conquer. If people are aware of that, I believe we are aware of that. We know what Calcutta ship is. We know how they've used. We know how they used it. What our responsibility to do now is to educate people about how people are subtle using these things.
That's what we say all night, Keino.
But here's what: no, the attention that you were putting on it was on him to fix it. You, if a child, if somebody doesn't have the capacity to do something, you can't put that on them.
Poison starting from the head come down, Keino.
Yes, but if the poison to him is beneficial, if the poison to him is beneficial,
We have to get rid
If
of
the
him.
poison to
But
him
he's
is
there.
beneficial, right? Yes, we do have to get rid of him.
And he did.
Yes, but
He
the
did.
way to get rid of him, the way to get rid of him is through effective
He
education of the
did
people
that.
and not just cussing Keith. I used to ignore Keith Rowley.
You know, you cannot say what you. Well, it's because all you ignore him that make him manifest now.
Because
Not
Keith Rowley
ignore
is
him.
not worth my time. The
But it's you.
education of
You know,
people is more worth my time so
it's
that
not
they can
you
make a more
alone.
informed
It's
decision.
not about you
That is,
alone.
but
No.
but here's what: if people knew how bad a leader Keith Rowley was, they won't vote him in
But
power.
now
I'm not running for office.
the
Okay? If people
objective, you know,
see how bad Keith Rowley is, and we know how bad he is, I can tell you how bad he is as a man. So why are you at? It's like you're encouraging abuse, Mama Coco.
what? You know,
Yes. What happened to, what happened to Mama Coco? Um, Mr. Lashley, you can go ahead. Dr. Lashley. I'm sorry, but I'm very passionate about this topic. And we cannot put poor, what do you call it, in leaders who doesn't have that objective.
My whole take is, folk, and I've said this before, I'm not on the show at this point to evaluate a leader one way or the other. Others of you can do that. I'm simply saying there's time for a change, has been with the curriculum, and we have to start somewhere in whatever capacity we can start. While we wait to change the leaders, somebody has to start making the changes. So, we'll
Well,
get the leaders changed.
I do believe that the leadership structures are changing. I think that people are becoming aware. But in order for effective policy changes, I believe, to happen, you need that from the ground up. You need an educated citizenry behind that. And it's not just change, it's how the change is going to be made, and the change is going to be palatable to the people. Ignore the leaders and educate the people. And that's been my focus. I'm not just gonna come here and say Keith, 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 Keith. Ignore Keith. Ignore Keith. I'm not his, what do you call it? I choose to ignore Keith and I rather expose Keith, what he's doing, what's been the underpinning of his what you call it, his political strategy. And the underpinning of his political strategy has been racism. But what the people need to be aware of, they're the ones who need to be enlightened about that and how to make a better and more informed choice. We don't have any we have 90% of the people in Tobago are black, and there's discrimination, there's victimization. So it's the people that we need to educate, and the people of Tobago are becoming very, very educated. Very educated. I wonder what happened to Mama Coco. Internet, I don't know. Cindy? And I wasn't disagreeing with her. I'm just telling her, you're focusing on the wrong thing. That's not the bullseye.
I think what you're saying is that the methodologies of folk might be different. That's what I hear you saying.
I think so.
And
I think so.
I think what you're saying is change a leader, and then everything else will follow. I have said,
no,
while we're waiting,
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
that's what I'm
educate the people to a place of being more informed so that they have the knowledge and capacity to bring the correct people into governance. That is what I'm saying.
And I'm sharing with you there, how do you educate the people if you don't change your curriculum? Not just in schools, but everywhere. So we got to start somewhere, and hopefully all that we're doing here.
Let me answer that question. You change the educational policy, because if let's look case in point at Tobago.
Sure.
Okay? If you look at policy has been brought to the assembly to reform education and curriculum and educational policy. It has been brought there. Nothing happens with it because the current executive that's in place do not have the incentive in order to do that. So change that way will not work. It's been tried, it's not going to work. What needs to happen is when you educate the people and the people are now able to make an informed decision, not a left foot or right foot decision, an informed decision. Okay? An informed decision. Okay? Then they'll elect better leaders. And then you can get those policies in place. But it has to come from bottom up, not head down. I think an older generation of Caribbean people, they're used to head down leadership. I think people now are looking for grassroots leadership that's rising up from the bottom. And I think the people of Tobago has been really showing that they're demonstrating and they have the capacity to display that.
I think where's Madam Coco? I guess she's off the air. So there are two ways to change things, and we studied the Chinese Revolution. One can see that. So I hope that out of all that we have shared, that something can happen, so that 6 years from now, 6 years from now, we're still having the same conversation.
Well, because you guys have been having this conversation 30 years ago, and we don't have time to have this conversation 6 years in the future, because every day we wait to have this conversation. Every day we refuse to ignore this problem. And why this problem is left for a generation for us to now pick up. And I want to believe that you're understanding, but I'm not getting that assurance that you're fully understanding the basis of my argument, because we've been talking about this for 20 years.
You see, I understand what you're sharing. I'm just...
Ladies and gentlemen, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can, Mama Coco.
Your conduct is not nice on this show tonight.
Working with the
you cannot
Mama Coco,
you cannot speak to the... This is not how Caesar trained you.
Mama Coco, I'm not being disrespectful in any degree, but I'm just speaking to the urgency. No, I'm speaking to the urgency of the situation and to shed an effective light so that he understands the situation effectively.
I understand. Yes. Well, all I'm sharing, folk, is this. Having worked in lots of situations, I'm sharing
this is not right.
You can change a society. You can change a society by changing the leaders. Everybody knows that.
This is not right.
Why do you wait to change the leaders? Why do you wait to change the leaders? If you don't make some incremental changes all along, it could take you a long time to make those changes. And in my experience in Trinidad, I'm talking not 10 years ago or 30 years ago, you have to make changes as you go. You won't get all the leadership change you want to, but you can still make changes along that are incremental. That's all I'm sharing. It happens in increments. It can happen with a revolution also. But until you get to that point, why not try to work in an incremental fashion with who you have? Or you can wait until you change your leaders, whenever that might be. You have a choice.
You are disrespecting Dr. Lashley.
I don't believe I am. I think I don't. It's not my intent to.
Cindy, can you remove Keino from the show? I'm serious. This is not fair to the people.
Please.
No, Mama Coco, it's not disrespect. It's a different point of view. It's not disrespect. It's a different point of view. It's not disrespect. It's a different...
That is not right.
No, it's a different point of view. It's not disrespect.
Speak to people.
I did not disrespect him.
All he's saying is that to change, you need to change your leaders. And all I'm saying is, yes, but why do you wait to change your leaders? It could take a very long time. And when you talk about my generation, my generation is 3 years ago.
Go into his generation and look to embarrass him.
Well,
that's not my intent. That is not my intent. My intent is a serious academic discussion and trying to break it down to the people. That's not, and where I choose to focus my discussion on.
You know what I'm trying to share with you? You have your strong point of view, and everyone else have theirs.
But it's not a disrespectful point of view.
Wait. What's what? No. This is your Mama Coco. What's going on with you tonight?
No, but here, what I'm...
Are you going to listen to me?
But I am listening to you, but here's what I'm trying to say. I am listening to you, but what we all need to understand, we need to put things in the appropriate context.
You can't do this, Keino. You have to listen.
Well, what he's simply saying is that the way to change is to change the leader, and then changes will follow. What I'm sharing in terms of
change the leader. He wasn't agreeing with change no leader.
It's not a matter of agreeing there, Mama Coco. It's a matter of where I choose to focus my energy. And it's not on Keith Rowley. It's not on Keith Rowley.
I swear. Keith Rowley messed up the last election with racism, and you can't tell me not to say that.
But that's fine, but I choose not to focus there. And I'm going to like what I see because I didn't say anything disrespectful. I'm not going to focus my attention there.
It is not about you.
Well, fine, but my way of changing and my way of working is not there, Mama Coco. And that's you're taking that as a disrespectful. No, it's not.
We heard you. And that's enough. Thank you very much. We have a brand to protect. I have my name and my integrity to protect. You're not going to come here and pull the show into your corner. We have other people.
That's not my intention. That is not my intention. What I'm only trying to say is that we need to understand this in the context of Tobago, and you're asking me to give somebody to solve a problem that they can't.
No, Keino, he has the power.
He doesn't have the capacity.
He has the power now.
He doesn't have the capacity.
He has the capacity.
No, he doesn't.
He has.
Let's agree to disagree. Let's agree to disagree. I don't have so much faith and confidence in Dr. Rowley that he can solve racism.
Say that now from one side of your mouth, but what I am saying on all my corners, he has the power.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've consulted for many large corporations. I will share this. Sometimes you have to get into a corporation and you start to make changes in places. You may not always be able to change everything. That's all, but you have to begin somewhere.
You have to make change.
So that's all I'm sharing. You have to begin somewhere. As you know, you don't get everything done immediately with the entire group up. So you have to decide: do you want to make it suddenly? Can you make it suddenly? What's your context? And together we'll work out what has to be done. Everybody has great points, but to get change done, you begin where you are. Wherever you can, you begin at that point, and you go forward. That's all I'm sharing. We're not saying that other models can't work.
If I say I enjoy all of the show, I will be lying. I'm very straightforward. I want to thank each and everyone for accepting the invitation. I told you guys from beginning that this will be a very vibrant discussion. Because what people have to learn in this world, we have to accept the things that we cannot change. And the things that we cannot change is how people are being treated. But then politicians always walking away and leaving the blame to go on the small man. It's we who making them do this. It's we who like it so. It's we who this and we who that. And we set them scotch-free. Even today in the United States of America, we all saw what happened there. We all saw what happened. But yet, hundreds of people still want to vote, claiming it happened. Let us get over it. That's what happened in Trinidad and Tobago all my life. Election robbed, election stolen. Get over it. We never fight to get the things right. The easiest thing is to bow out. And that's not me. That is why I accept the challenge from Almighty God to bring up the topic about racism. It's a silent killer. It's an elephant in the room. You see, except some people get hurt, they wouldn't know the pain. I don't want to be a part of this in Trinidad and Tobago that just want to hurt people because their name Cooley, or hate somebody because he's a nigger. That's not me. We have to have love and fight on the ground. We have to go after change. Change wouldn't come if we go after it. Not speaking about racism, we think it will go away. It will not. When the next election will reach, it's the same thing over and over. Then we're going to know how many niggers in Trinidad and where niggers live and where Cooley live. That ain't me. I'm not keeping a normal life. I'm keeping a life with integrity and with class on topics of interest for changes. I don't want numbers on Facebook. I'm not here for numbers. I don't need numbers. But when I'm on Facebook with a topic, I need people to understand. When I say issue, when I say calm, if I say move on, let's move on. When I invite Brother Ramjohn, I don't need anyone to talk down Brother Ramjohn. When I bring Keino, I don't need anybody to talk down Keino because he's young. I don't need nobody to talk down Dr. Lashley and mentioning that all you was doing 30 years ago. No, don't do it. No.
Mama Coco, I was just speaking there to the generational
Do not
age,
generation.
age group.
You did it already on my show. Do not go generation. This is not generation.
Then that's a lack of accountability
You see, you're going
on many people, on many people's aspect, Mama Coco, if we can't talk about what generations did or failed to do.
generation. We are speaking on racism. It was there before and it's there now. Yeah, you want to end it? We can end. Begging you to end it all the time, you wouldn't end it. I know when things are not going good. I know when the Spirit of the Lord is moving away from the situation. We are here to speak on racism and how can we solve it. And we came in speaking about, I don't know why it's echoing, you know my fault. We came in speaking about changing of the syllabus. Our children have to learn about racism and how not to be a racist from small. We have to have workshops. We can't say that's not gonna work. Something must work. I am speaking. You don't know how I'm speaking. And I don't like the feeling at all. I feel very much defeated right now. And I don't like that. So ladies and gentlemen, join us this week for next Mama Coco Life and Style. I have invited panel back with one additional person. And if you guys are free and you can please say yes.
Once I can free the time, I'll be happy to.
Same here. Once we can make progress, we want to make progress.
I don't want to right now.
Let everybody come back.
That's okay. Me too. Thank you, brother Doctor. Thank you so much for your generosity, your kindness, and your influential input. So, Brother John, the same for you. Brother Keino, the same for you. The next time I hope we can be a little bit more cordial. It's not a cordial topic. It's a topic that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And I want to tap myself on my shoulder for getting ready to do it. I know I'm not in defense of anyone, but I'm here to protect everyone. So may the peace of God. No, I just want to say something here tonight. I invite everybody, and those that I invite more people already, you know. It's about 5 of these people we have. And if for some reason we have to keep this quality show again, and it has to be this temper, I think I will think it over. We have to come to an understanding. Racism, everybody, we all have to. Robert Wendell, yes, Mama Coco, I'll give you some pork. Yes, he already said to me. He should have been on this show. But when it comes to me, just like everybody else, the show must go on. I love this. I think we will get something. Know that he's up on the stage and he did a wrong. Last election when he won Kamala, he used Analytica. This one he used, she paid to shoot it down. This one he used Oreo and black. So your name must be called. He's not part of the trade. Keith Rowley, this is not trick or trick. This is people's life. People intelligent. Look what you did at the time with Brother Ramjohn. He's alive in spite of you and your slackness. His name should be called. Let people visit. Jehovah, you and we want to tonight. Amen.
Amen.
Peace, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all, folks. Take care. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Very, very good.
We didn't get any questions, people, but we are past 2 hours.
If I may, before we go, just I've been sitting here listening to the exchanges and so on, and Keino, a word of advice for you. Your message is lost, and I think you do yourself a disservice because of the way you convey your message sometimes. So you might want to think about that. I listened to what you were saying, and I understand your frustration, but the way to convince people that your point is valuable, you might want to take a different approach.
I mean, I agree. I hear what you're saying, but I hear what you're saying. I take that advice to heart. But I think that I can't blame others for their misunderstanding of what I'm trying to say. But where I choose to focus my energy on attempting to solve racism, as much as a spotlight could be shined on the Prime Minister, I think he's incapable of doing that.
Yes, indeed.